So I'm working on a sequel, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make a sequel to this movie until I found out what I'm about to tell you about. When I make these movies, I never know what I'm going to do next. I kind of have to go on the journey myself. And kind of like Burzynski, where I made the first one, and now I'm in this world. And now I got all these cancer patients coming at me. Should I get this? I don't know. If you want to go, that's your decision. I'll follow you. MCell has cured male infertility. Not everybody, but they have a 30% cure rate in a clinical trial and a study that they're conducting. This is a first in world history this has been done. I don't really need to read the stats. We know, especially nowadays with environmental issues and everything under the sun, fertility is going down as a human race in general. Okay, there's the causes, as I mentioned. We got lifestyle. There's all kinds of reasons why men are infertile. There's 3 reasons why a man is infertile. And let me just stop again. This is the focus of my sequel. Not only am I going to keep following patients, but I feel so privileged and honored, that I've gotten to be close enough to these scientists where they trust me to do the right thing and tell this story properly. Let me in the lab, no less, and all of that. But B, let me know about this. They're not really talking about this, and they're letting me tell you about this up here today. There's a few other things that you're going to be the first people on Earth and the people at home watching are going to ever hear about, aside from the subject matter being new to most people anyway. But there's 3 categories when it comes to why a man is infertile. It's not an easy thing to cure. You have one, it's not just the sperm count. People think, dead sperm, low sperm count. No, it's much more complicated than that. Morphology is the shape of the sperm. You see the blue one is normal. You have all sorts of head defects, and all kinds of defects can happen in the sperm. If they can't swim right, they can't make it to the egg. You have that challenge to overcome. Then you have their ability to move at all. The grade A on the left is their ability to swim quickly in a straight line, make their way to the egg. This is sort of the sperm motility, Motility is the definition for a single organism's ability to move, not quite mobility. But sometimes they swim sideways, they just don't know where to go. Sometimes they just follow their tails and swim in circles. That's a big, huge problem with sperm and infertility as well. And of course, you also have the one we usually hear about, low sperm count. Those are 3 major things they had to fix and try to hone in on that they have done. All right, so I'm going to talk about it before I show you some of the data. So it's not the same therapy that I got or other people get. It does consist of a similar thing, but they managed to harvest, and they've been working on this, by the way, for like 7 years until they finally started working on people. And most everything they treat, they have a long history before they've decided that we offer this as a service. They have to actually take the male reproductive organs at the time of gestation with everything else, as well as some other stuff that related to male sort of reproductive, and they've had to experiment and experiment. And so not only are you getting the cells in the arm and in the fat in the abdomen, you're getting injections in the testicles. It's a little more invasive. But what's also fascinating is, for this study and for my sequel, that I'm going to hopefully follow some American men, ideally, is these men have failed 3 years of every fertility treatment available to them under commercial fertility treatments. They have failed and have given up. And obviously, they're not going to want to do a clinical trial, nor do I want to do a movie separately on this unless we can prove that these people have failed at all. I want to interview the fertility doctors and say, nope, hopeless. This guy's never going to have a kid. And then see where it goes. Now, this is one of their more remarkable patients. Category 1, morphology, the sperm shape. This patient, before treatment, 0% of the sperm were shaped properly. 3 months in, 90% of them are shaped properly. 5 months in, dropped to 40. You might ask, why would it go up and down? This patient flew on an airplane in the middle of this. Radiation, there's all kinds of lifestyle factors that affect sperm count. You fly in a plane, it's going to go down. So I asked that question. She's like, yeah, he was doing some traveling. Again, this is only 5 months after therapy. Motility, their ability to move, 0. Again, 3 years, failed fertility. 3 years of testing, 0 before treatment. 1 month in, still 0. 2 months in, huge jump. 5 months, huge jump again. Sperm count, obviously, same thing, 0 to pretty significant. That being said, 4.8, 1.6 is still low. You have to be over 15 per milliliter to be considered fertile. So he's still low. But this patient got his partner pregnant. The old-fashioned way, not like in the lab and the artificial thing to help it along, got her pregnant. Unfortunately, as the study is ongoing, miscarriage, like so many unfortunate pregnancies, they're going to still try. But this, again, the study is ongoing. One of the more sort of less crazy stories that are that significant, here's just another patient. You can see after 3 years of failed infertility treatments, before treatment, on up to the 12-month mark, you can see the steady increase just go right on up. Okay, so I kind of talked about this. So I'm not here recruiting patients. I mean, the FDA would have my head on a stick if I'm like recruiting patients, but it's your decision. You do your own research. If you know somebody that's a male that's infertile, you know a doctor, whoever, I'm just saying, like my Burzynski movie, if somebody decides to go, I would love to follow you. I would love to follow them. I would love to prove you're infertile. I'd like to, this is a huge challenge. I can't think of anything more challenging as a movie. Probably gonna take me 3 years at least to complete this. Because they have like a roughly 30% cure rate so far, I need to follow 6 or 7 guys minimum, Americans I'd like to be, and I wanna follow them until they have a child. And I can't think of anything more poetic than this fetal material that's thrown away and unwanted. People might argue, you know, it's life that's given up, that's giving life to someone else. One thing I wanted to say earlier that I don't know if I said was about the moral versus moral issue is, you know, what is more immoral really? Whether you agree with abortion or disagree, you're not going to stop it. It's like, I might hate guns. I'm not going to stop guns from being here. It's there. Abortion's going to be here. Might be more abortions tomorrow than there were today. Same with guns. So unlike guns, why not, what's more immoral? Throwing them in the garbage or taking this very valuable material and letting scientists that know what they're doing harvest that and help other humans? That's all. Just wanted to point that out. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm not quite done yet. So if you want to email me, and I'll be around, hanging around, you can take a picture of that, whatever. By the way, I love answering emails. As I said, only 1,000 patients a year this clinic gets. Before my movie came along, they might have treated 5 Americans. Like, no one has heard of this. So it is not a bother for me. If somebody emails me and says, I saw your movie, I'm thinking about going, or blah, 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 I'm like, I'm happy to maybe place you in touch with another. Let's say you have a child with autism. I want to speak to another parent. Here you go. I'm happy to do it. It's not a bother. Email me, because I don't really get that many emails about this, honestly. I'm happy, I'm excited if I get anybody contacting me about this. So, all right. Now, what I'm about to show you I wasn't going to do, but I have to do it. I wouldn't do my duty as a journalist and sort of like the guy that exposes sort of wrongdoings in this space. It's one thing to go after big pharma. It's one thing to talk about how corrupt the FDA is and talk about what a mess we're up against with these market forces that do not like innovative therapies like this to be pushed forward. But there's some bad actors in this space that give this a bad name. And I know this little section I'm calling research. We all think we're research geniuses. We got Google, right? I did my research. I went to Google. I learned about it right there. Well, there are some bad actors in this space. And like the patients I saw, I know this for firsthand because I spent 2 years with a fetal stem cell company following them before I finally convinced Stem Cell to let me talk about them or document them. It's a company in California. They treat in Tijuana. They're not like awful. Let me get there. I'm not trying to like say that, okay. This is their website. I want you to take a look at this. Stem Cell of America. Looks official, right? Breakthrough stem cell treatment. Looks official. Look at those fancy photographs. Scroll down on the page, and you just heard me talk for how long? I have no idea how long I've been up here. About fetal stem cells being done in the Ukraine for 30 years. You scroll down on this page, look what it says. Notably, Stem Cell of America is the only treatment program using fetal stem cells. How could that be? How could that be? How could their website, Stem Cell of America, say such a thing? What would you call that? What would be the definition of that, knowing what you now know? Yeah, so you got that. Now look at these fancy photographs. Here you go again. I just had to do this, you guys, and I'll tell you why I had to do it. I was going to leave them alone, but no. Look at this. The top photograph is a stock photo. Now, if you're going to spend a bunch of money and go to some stem cell clinic, wouldn't you, with people looking at microscopes, wouldn't you hope that those are their employees? Not at all. That's a stock photograph. And guess what? Some Asian biotech company is using the same one. You look at their treatment, safety, results. The top 3 are from Stem Cell of America. The one on the left is a copyrighted image from published in European Biotech from Novo Nordisk. The one in the middle, safety, that came from some article in Popular Science about stem cells working for racehorses. And then the one on the right, results, is another stock photo I found in another veterinarian publication. The one on the left, this is their mission, right? You see a kind doctor talking to a patient. That was stolen from a book cover about doctors talking to patients. The picture in the middle is a clinic, quote unquote. That's the one in Tijuana, but it's just an office they rent out once a month to do it. I'll get to this further in a second. Oh, this is also on their website, research. We operate our own stem cell laboratories and research centers. Our top-notch scientists continuously translate advances in stem cell science into innovative new treatments. 2 years I spent, not one lab, not two labs, not one. There's no research centers, especially not plural research centers, but those pictures, those are real. But guess what? Those pictures were taken at MCell in the 1990s when the guy on the bottom left, who kind of looks like Smithers from The Simpsons, was there learning from it before he stole it from him. And I know those pictures because I have them in my possession. There they are. There he is. This is what happens. This guy was a popular TV doctor, kind of like the Dr. Oz of his time, found out about these guys, went to the Ukraine before they were anybody, wowed them, oohed and awed them. They got excited. Ooh, big, powerful American doctor, TV personality is going to bring us to the fame. He spent much time with them. By the way, this guy was, this is in the 90s. He was interviewing Joan Rivers. He's been on Geraldo. People can easily find out who this guy is. He made good friends with the inventors, got close to them, signed contracts with them, even though American law, Ukraine law, you're never going to fight that out in court. But, they thought they were going to work together. Took what he learned and left. Never saw or heard from him again, opened up Stem Cell America. He, at one time, in the 90s, when he had good stuff, was doing great. And that's why I was attracted to it, because I found and met all these people that did great. Stem Cell America did great work. Why? Because they had good cells for a long time. And all I can speculate, I'll emphasize speculate, is they ran out. And they have no way to get more. Why? Because MCell is the only place on earth that does it. Think they're going to give it to them? They're not going to give it to them. So I don't know. All I know is when I started this project, I met all these people that had been there doing great. I met their doctors and I got their medical results. But in 2 years, I went to Tijuana 12 times following these people and this company. And I didn't see anybody get better. Like, what is going on? Like, where is this miraculous discovery? And again, a whole other hour could go on in this journey that took me here over 5 years to get to MCell and finally create this what it was. But in my movie, I cover them. I don't say what I'm saying to you today. I was very kind, but I'm not going to be kind anymore. Because what they've done, really, just like a week or two ago, they've taken a different version of my movie, and they're sending it to people that email them as if I made the movie only about them, to just conveniently exclude MCell. I've had to make multiple copyright complaints against this company. So I said, you know what? I'm going to stand on this stage today and not only tell everybody for the first time about this therapy, but I'm going to call this company out. They need to be called out. I'm a journalist. I expose things. I do films. If I wasn't honest, I wouldn't be able to. I had to do this. So there you go. Who knows what's going to happen now? But all right, so this is MCell today. This convenient little building, been around for a while. Like I said, they were in a one-room hospital in Kyiv, and they slowly graduated to become bigger and bigger, expanding their science and become what they are. They're a pretty top-notch operation. 7 or 8 doctors there. They also have PhDs in fetal stem cell therapy. They did their own clinical trial to get their PhD in whatever it be, rheumatoid arthritis or whatever. These are the world's pioneers and professionals in fetal stem cells. And they're just mainstream doctors. They're not some woo-woo, holistic, blah, blah. These are as mainstream as you guys can get for doctors. But this is mainstream to them. They don't know. It's legal there. It's been legal. And again, I can't emphasize enough, it's not legal in China, Germany, India, nor Tijuana. It's not legal anywhere except Ukraine. And I can't tell you, like, oh, I saw your movie and my Aunt Gladys went to Germany and got fetal stem cells. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. Because if she did, MCell would have erected a clinic there 10 years ago. They would love to have another country allow this to be legal. So, and I'll get into, you might ask, well, when does it come into the States? Don't hold your breath. But at least you have the ability, if you have the means, to get on a plane and go there if you're invited as a patient. They don't take just anybody. They don't want to give false hope. And they're also booked solid. They don't only want to help people. They know they can help. Now, you ready for this? First time, it took me a little while to convince them to let me show you this. You look at that clinic, been around for a long, long time. Look at this. Boom. This is what they're doing. This is a massive 4-story, brand new, state-of-the-art facility to give you an idea of how they're expanding. This is also in Kyiv, Ukraine. To give you one up, the top floor is their lab. Their lab is going to be to FDA code. No different than any other biotech company, say in Germany or whatever, that has a drug, say, in America. They need to have first the lab to be up to FDA code. Where the FDA says, yep, lab looks good, let's do the clinical trials over here. And so There's consultants you can hire, like any biotech company would, to get your lab up to code. So just because they can, they're going to do that. So that's a big leap forward. They're also going to have an observatory where you can so as a patient, you can see into the lab. Enough people have said, I want to see your lab, including me. And they're going to finally do that. They're going to have multiple panes of glass. One of the biggest reasons they don't want people in the lab is sterility reasons. As you can imagine, you don't want any contamination. So I'm doing it on time? Okay, I'm almost done. All right, obviously, you look at the size of this thing, it's going to take way more patience than what they are able to do. So what I'm trying to say is, not only is it a really revolutionary technology, but they are expanding greatly. The thing is, most Americans never heard of this. There are plenty of Saudi Arabians, plenty of Chinese, a lot of people going there. Just never made it here. And all I can guess is how polarizing the abortion situation is, and people just don't want to go near it. All you have to do, again, go to Google, look up fetal, can't find it. You will, but you have to really dig. I watched, not to say it's a bad thing, but I watched like a whole 9-part series recently on stem cells. Not one episode had fetal in it. Didn't even bring it up. So anyway, there I am at the bottom of the gray shirt with my little GoPro in my hand, walking around. You see how this is massive. They're expanding greatly. So that being said, I want to talk about something I was allowed to talk about too. I said the lab. This is kind of fun because it brings us back full circle to the Axelrod story. You have somebody like Burzynski has a treatment for cancer, not a magic bullet cure, which can basically take down a $4 trillion industry. Can you imagine basically every other ailment that isn't cancer, what this can do? They have some powerful friends, as you can imagine, being around for as long as they have. I just said they're going to have a FDA, up to code, FDA standard lab done. After all, they're building it from the ground up. Might as well make an FDA lab that they approve of, right? There might be, maybe, at least the process will be filed, a phase 1 study in the United States using M-cells technology for people waiting in line for a heart transplant, pull them out of line, give them the cells. So it's funny, you think about this, anybody knows about the FDA, the FDA is like, where are your animal studies? Like, oh, I've been doing this for 30 years, we're not doing any more animal studies. They go, oh, you got to open up the chest, stick the cells in the heart. No, you don't. Put them right here. Put them right here. So you can imagine what they're up against. You got abortion. You got people that don't understand this at all. So what I'm saying is, while I think we shouldn't hold our breath, I just want to give you an idea of how hard, and they've been pushing this, that you guys never heard of this. Will it ever be approved, or excuse me, even a trial allowed in the US? Can you imagine the #1 cause of death, heart disease? And these guys swoop in, everything's paid for, no need to raise money. We'll pay for the trials. And you have people being yanked out of line waiting for a heart transplant, going back to their lives because some cells were put in their arm. You're talking about a real major crash of metal, if you would, if that takes place. For me as a journalist, it's exciting because Burzynski's story for me was exciting because I got on the front lines of the FDA coming after him and the Texas Medical Board coming after him. I went down to the court trials, but to be a journalist on the front row seat to watch the FDA scramble when you're going to bring basically an alternative to heart surgery to the US, it's going to be a fascinating experience to see what happens. We'll see what happens at all. But the thing is, these guys are smart. They know what they're up against. They don't need American approval. They're fine. They're perfectly happy where they are. They'd love to move to another country. If anybody would make it legal, they would love that. They would love to squeeze right in. But as you know, to go through the approval process in any country, you're talking about decades. Just for, say, Parkinson's. Okay, we got that. Now let's go hard. Another 2 decades of clinical trials. They're already doing it. So at least know that you have the means to get on a plane and go there. You can do it. So I've kind of stopped being an activist. I stopped getting frustrated with the system. I'm going to change it. Oh, when people see this, it's going to change things. No, it's not. I'm sorry to say, it's really unfortunate. But what I focus on is letting people know what's out there and how to seek it, how to find it, and try to get to the bottom of the truth of what's out there is what my job is. So again, just like I showed you, 2 different fetal stem cell places, one significantly okay, one not quite so much. But anyhow, this is me. There's my email again. There's the website for the movie. I even made a website called mcellexperience.com where I just put up my favorite restaurants to go, my checklist, just to kind of save a little time. Some people don't want to talk to me. They see my movie. They don't want to talk to Eric. That's fine. If you want to go visit the M-Cell Experience, I can talk about my favorite places, where I stay, things like that, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, this has been my passion for 5 years. And I can't wait for another 5 years of this because I'm going to stay on this. Because again, the fact that I'm the only guy on earth that's covering this, it's an honor. It's an absolute honor to be able to be this close to these very ingenious people that are doing this work. So I'm happy to have, how much time we have? This is an hour and 16, so I have 15 minutes for a Q&A, is that correct? Yeah? Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Cancer? Yeah, the question was, how does it work with cancer? They don't generally treat cancer because it's just not what because a tumor is this thing that's this rogue cell that's growing in your body. Their goal of this is regeneration, pushing back degenerative problems. It's just, they've done a lot of work with people that have gone through chemo and radiation and dealt with that and have had their bodies highly injured from that. And people would get fetal stem cells to repair the bone marrow from the chemo, repair like the gums, all the stuff that goes on with chemo and radiation. So no, they don't treat people with active cancer. Yeah.
Wait for the microphone. Wait for the microphone.
Yeah, does this? The question was, does it boost the immune system? Yeah, I'm not sure if were you here the whole talk or did you just squeeze it? Okay. No, especially because you're getting the liver fetal cells, which are the building blocks of your whole immune system, your bone marrow, your blood circulatory system. They do wonders for your immune system. Okay, I'm glad you asked this. It was about a couple of months after my second therapy. I walked around for 3 weeks, nearly a month with a sore throat. I felt fine, no fever, no body aches, nothing. And I was just busy dude. I'm like, this got this sore throat, won't go away. And as all this time goes by, just being so much on my plate at all times, I finally went, I'm gonna go to urgent care to see what the heck's going on. They swabbed my throat. Like, dude, you got strep. So I'm walking around for nearly a month with strep throat, didn't know it. And all I can attribute that is to the cells. That's all I have no idea. There's no explanation. I've had strep plenty of times. It is miserable. I just had this irritation for a month. I took an antibiotic, knocked it out. So yeah, I can't think of anything better for the immune system personally. Yes?
Oh, thank you. So if it's doing these good things for mitigating the after effects of chemoradiation, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm
getting to the question. Then if it's boosting the immune, couldn't it really supercharge the immune to prevent recurrence? Because cancer cells, continue to live in us.
Yeah, it's hard to dare say that this is an anti-cancer therapy, but if you just got to lose common sense, you're taking the inflammatory way down. You're pushing all inflammation down. A lot of cancer is from inflammation. Smokers, inflamed lungs, boom, tumors. So you're pushing all that down, and you're also boosting the immune system. So, I did have a long conversation with them about this. There's no data, but they said, of the many thousands of patients they've treated, they've heard of almost no one getting it. And which is interesting because if you look at a population, again, small population, compared to the population of any other population, in America, I got a 50% chance of getting cancer as a man, So you look at that population versus their population, again, small, not a good study group, but I'm saying almost nobody has had it. So maybe, Yeah. Yes, sir, ma'am. Sorry for the mic. Okay.
And do they treat patients that are on dialysis?
Okay, great question. Now, I meant to say this before I had the Q&A open. There's two categories of questions that I prefer not to waste the time with. One, Stem Cell of America, let's just let it go. You want to talk to me about it later, great. The cost, I can't tell you this because it's personalized medicine. If I give you a cost today, which I won't be able to adhere to because I don't work for them, then everybody's going to say, I saw Eric, they said it cost this much, you're charging me that. I can't give you a cost. It's the same with Burzynski. One cancer patient costs this, another cancer patient costs that. It's all over the place. I'm so sorry. Dialysis, unfortunately, I've not seen them allow a dialysis patient to the clinic. There is no age limit, no. I'm not aware of like a newborn being treated. I don't know about that, but as far as age, but no, they've treated very old to extremely young. Again, I don't know about newborns, but yeah, dialysis is something, I'll get to you, ma'am, I promise. Because the new clinic, maybe, these are the kind of things they're hoping to do in the new clinic. I didn't mention this, is that they want to expand the operation further. They might even start offering possible epidurals where the neuronal cells are put into the spinal fluid. There's also a procedure for type 1 where it's a little bit invasive, where they're injecting the insulin-producing pancreas cells in near the organs. And that's a little bit more invasive. They're going to have operating rooms. Now, dialysis, will they have dialysis there? Maybe. I can't speak for that. I've never personally met someone on dialysis that has gone there. Yeah, it's the best I can answer that. Yeah. This woman in the back, I'm sorry. I'll get to you next. Yes?
In listening to you tell about the different stories and the benefits that different people had, you mentioned a wide variety of health problems. One of the things that I personally didn't hear, I don't know if you mentioned it when I wasn't, but one of the things that you mentioned in the way of health problems was cerebral palsy. And I found that to be a little bit different. So I'm wondering, and I would like to hear if you've had any experience, of stories of people with cerebral palsy and what was the success rate or the results of that as well.
Sure. Thank you for asking. I've not personally met a person with cerebral palsy that has gone. I know they have got good experience with it, but I think, honestly, I hate to say this, but honestly, like if you want to email me or I can put you in touch with them, they will give you their stats on that. They always tell you, this is what we've done with this, if somebody has an interest in a particular ailment. And who knows? I mean, maybe they can help you get in touch with somebody, maybe. It's not really what they do. But yeah, I wish I could answer that question better for you. But I do know that they do treat it. Is it a cure? I don't know. No, I wouldn't say so. I'll get to you. This woman had her hand up. Yes? Yeah.
First of all, thank you very much for all your movies. It's amazing. And I would like to ask if any side effect were noticed.
Great, thank you. There's no side effects. I know it sounds nuts. How can you have a treatment with no side effects? Honestly, what I say is the only side effect is spend the money and nothing happens. There's no side effects. If anything, the side effects are remarkable. It's like, oh, your libido goes crazy, and you think better, and you're more energy, and you sleep better, and you're just like, there's just not a single side effect that has happened from it. Primarily in the 30 years, because they know what they're doing. The only side effect that could happen is if somebody that doesn't know what they're doing gives you some contaminated cells. But again, because they understand the science and they know when to harvest them, again, based on decades of data already between the fetus and the mother before it was developed as a therapy, they just understand it. And there's never been a rejection problem. No one's ever gotten ill. I've probably seen 50 patients go or communicate, not one has said, I had a side effect. Yeah. Okay, sorry, you were next, ma'am. I'll get to you, sir, I promise.
Hello, thank you for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
I have a question to the FDA studies. Are they studying on animals? You said they don't because they have enough live patients.
Sure, no, what I meant to say, when the two inventors that I showed, they were working on, or the main guy, Smigadoop, was working on this in the 70s on animals. And on this, all I was saying was, like any new thing brought to America, they're going to say, we want to see your animal studies first. And they're like, we're not doing animal studies. It's just like, we've done that. We've been doing this for 30 years. We either go to phase 1 or we don't.
We know that humans are not a 70-kilogram rat. So
right.
Obviously, 96% of animal studies fail in human. And I knew the lady who looked after the human test people in London in 2006 that nearly died. I forgot the medication. And there's a really good book. It's called, by Greek, it's called Golden Geese and Sacred Cows, or the other way around. And it's remarkable how much harm it actually does. We wouldn't have ibuprofen or what's it called, penicillin, because they all failed in animal studies. Just by chance we have it. Yeah. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, thank you. You, sir, had a question.
You came off with 87, 83%, 89%, 82%, and then there was your father. Can you imagine where those results would go to? And then you went with cancer. Early detection is too late. Can you imagine what would happen with those metrics if you cleaned up their nutrition, including your father?
Oh, no question. I couldn't agree with you more.
Off the chart.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. You know, it's also fascinating you say that some people joke that, I don't want to get into details, but there are some people, I will say, that have hideous lifestyles, and they just go there, almost like, you know, like Keith Richards or something, getting the tune-up so they can keep their bad lifestyle. So I'm not promoting that, but that's how powerful these things are. So, yes, ma'am. Okay. Sorry, I have run over my time. Should I take one more question, or? Okay, yes, you ma'am.
So I know treatment is individualized, but what sort of lifestyle modifications do they recommend, if they recommend it?
Not much. I mean, they want you to, like as he said, they want you to just eat well, sleep well. The only thing I would say is, because you're traveling a long way, kind of hang out in the city for a couple days. Don't just jump on a big bacteria, virus-ridden airplane, you know, right after the therapy. But they just want you to just take care of yourself, you know? Like if you have diabetes, just stick with that good diabetes diet. There's no real specific lifestyle, you know, other than just the obvious common sense stuff. So I'm happy to talk to anybody, hang out. I know that we have to get me off the stage, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm sorry? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, it's fine. I'm sorry. Okay.
It's more of a comment than a question. I actually know somebody who's been to MCEL
Oh, great.
for cerebral palsy.
Oh.
He was born with a medical birthing defect. It was a defect from the doctor.
Okay.
And he's been going, he started going every year since he was about 5, I believe.
Wow.
He's now 26 years old. He goes every 3 years now, and they told him he would never walk. And if you could find him on, there's videos on him. If you
That's
ever have
amazing.
Instagram, it's called @SamRuns.
Okay.
He lifts weights, he does Tai Chi, he is in professional bodybuilding competitions.
Wow.
And he's been to this MCEL in
See,
Ukraine.
this is why I do this, because I'm hearing stories like this. This is awesome. And that was probably before I even knew about this. He's been going there so
Yeah,
long.
he's
That's
20,
fantastic.
20 some odd years.
Please,
he's been
let's stay
going.
in touch. Email me or let's,
Will do.
I want to meet this guy and talk to him.
I'll show you his
Great. Thank you.
Instagram.
All right. All right, I'll hang out. I'll talk to you individually. Thank you very much. Thank you.